In this section, we will talk about different ways through which you can manage your money. The different ways through which you manage your money is called budgeting. Before we talk about different ways of budgeting, we need to understand what a budget is. A budget is a plan about what you will do with your money. It is a plan that organizes your income to pay for your expenses in order to save as much as possible. A budget is a simple tool anyone can use to manage their money. When you think of a budget, think about it as a financial plan for the future. It is a way for you to know how much you are spending, how much you are saving, and how you can achieve your financial goals. As we mentioned in the section on savings, your financial goals can be short-term, such as getting out of debt, paying for daily expenses, or paying school fees. Or your goals can be long-term, such as building a house or saving for your retirement. Making a budget will help you organize your money to meet your goals. There are 3 basic things you can do with your money. Spend it on daily needs, save it to achieve short-term or long-term goals, invest it to earn more money in the future. Keep in mind that it is important to spend wisely, save regularly, invest carefully. These are the basics of money management. A budget will help you divide your money and make your daily money decisions a little easier. Now that we have explained what a budget is, let us see why some individuals make a budget for their household and what are some of the challenges they face while making this budget.
सैलरी आने के टाइम में मैं उसका पहला भी बजट बनाता हूँ. जब सैलरी आएगा मैं मैनेज करता हूँ. मेरा जो 1 महीने काम करता हूँ वो 1 महीने तक मेरा पूरा प्लान चलता है. जब सैलरी आएगा मैं बोलता हूँ अच्छा ठीक है, ये मेरा फ़ोन करने के लिए ये मेरा सेविंग है. बस वही मैं उसका आएगा, पहला दिन सैलरी आएगा, दूसरा दिन में भेजेगा. क्योंकि जब आदमी पर्स में मनी रखता है तो उसका मन करता है ऐसा करूँ ऐसा करूँ ऐसा. इसलिए मैं उसमें निकाल के उसका जब फ़ोन करने का आपका कितना जाएगा, वो ब्रश करने के लिए, शावर का लिए, ऐसा ऐसा खर्चा होता है, उसमें मैनेज करेगा. मैं इतना देना है, तो लोन है इतना आता है, मेरे को इतना लोन देना है, मैं उसको तिरका कितना सेव होता है, पूरा कैलकुलेशन करता है. बाद में जब आएगा सैलरी मैं 1 दिन से 2 दिन नहीं रखता हूँ. क्योंकि जब पैसा रखता हूँ तो क्या है, बाहर का देश है, कुछ भी हो सकता है.
रखते मतलब लिख के रखते हैं. हाँ जी, होता है फ़ोन खर्चा में इतना करना है, हम लिमिट करता है. फ़ोन खर्चा इतना है, खाना में इतना है, अब अपना यूनिफॉर्म वॉश करने के लिए साबुन, कोलगेट, ब्रश, पूरा ये इतना 1 महीना में इतना लगेगा, हमको पूरा मालूम होता है. इसलिए एक बार खरीद के लाता है, फिर 1 महीने के लिए पूरा होता है.
As we have seen through some experience of migrants in Qatar, budgeting is very useful and it helps you achieve your short-term and long-term goals. There are many ways to budget, but the most important ones to keep in mind are: number 1, keep track of what you earn and how you spend over a period of time. Number 2, defining your financial goals to help you manage your spending, savings, and investments. And number 3, plan how much you spend in order to meet your goals. A budget may seem like a time-consuming plan, but there are many benefits of budgeting. A budget makes it easy to make decisions about spending and saving. It encourages careful spending. It also plays an important role in helping to meet financial goals. And finally, it helps you to control your money the way you want it to be. Budgeting. To budget carefully and successfully, consider the following 4 steps. Keep track of income and expenses. Divide your budget according to your needs. Decide on your financial goals. Divide your income according to your goals. Now, we will explain each step in detail. In this step of budgeting, it is important to keep careful records of all the money coming into and all the money going out of your household. The money that goes in your household could be the money that you and your family members earn. The money that goes out of your household is the money that you and your family members spend on different items. Keep a record for all the things you and your household buy and the money spent on these things, or try to keep all the receipts of the purchases and transactions you make. With this information, you can create a plan that shows you where your money comes from and where your money goes over a specific period of time. This is called a cash flow plan. Basically, the cash flow plan tracks the flow of your income. By looking at your cash flow, you can see whether your expenses are greater than your income or if you are spending less than your income. This will help you to identify which areas to cut back spending on and how you can save more. Now let us look at how we can make a cash flow plan. Select a time period. For example, you can make a cash flow plan for the period of single month, 6 months, or a whole year. You have to include income that comes in your house from all the other sources as well. Income that comes in your house can include your salary after you have paid your loans, if you have any, your average business income, if you have one, income of other household members, including your spouse or your children, other income your household gets from renting out a house, car, pension, and other sources of income. List your expenditures like food, clothes, transportation, and debt repayment. Finally, subtract the total expenditure from the total income. After you do that, you get your household's net income. Net income is the difference between income and expenses. To understand this further, let us consider the example of Ramesh, who is working in Qatar. Let's assume that Ramesh is the only income provider in his family, all of whom live in Nepal. Ramesh earns around 1350 Qatari Riyals every month. His monthly expenses are divided into his house rent, utilities like electricity and water, food, transportation, communication, and remittances he sends back home. Now let us see how much Ramesh spends on each of these categories. The following is Ramesh's monthly expenditure for the month of January. So he spends Qatari Riyal 250 on food, 100 Qatari Riyal on transportation. For communications and calling cards, he uses 150 Qatari Riyals. For remittances for household and other expenses, he sends 400 Qatari Riyals. The remittances for debt repayment is 250 Qatari Riyals. The total expenses count to be 1150 Qatari Riyal. Once you create a similar budget for yourself, repeat this budgeting process over several months so that you can identify the differences in your spending between different months of the year. This will help you notice fluctuations in your income and expenses. Let's look at Ramesh's expenses for a few more months and track what his income and expenditures are on average. As you can see, the average of Ramesh's total expenses add up to 1,150 Riyal per month. This means he spends 1150 from his salary of 1350 Riyal, leaving 200 Qatari Riyals which he can decide to either spend further or save. While you are keeping track of your cash flow for yourself, consider these following questions. When are you likely to spend more money than you have coming in as income? For example, an upcoming wedding of a family member, you might have to spend more than usual. When is your income higher? For example, if you work overtime. Can you save more during those periods? Are these necessary expenditures? Can you find ways to reduce some of your expenses? Once you decide on your goals, figure out the cost of each goal and set a specific time period for achieving that goal. Next, estimate how much you must allocate to savings every month to achieve each individual goal. If this amount is more than you think you can afford, make adjustments. Extend the time you need to save the desired amount, or reduce the cost of unnecessary expenditures. The following table provides an example of financial goals. Looking at the table, you can see that with his current set of income and expenses, Ramesh cannot save as much as he wants to each month. He needs to save 400 riyals each month, but he can only save up to 200 at present. What can Ramesh do to meet his savings goal? A couple of possible options come to mind. He can adjust his monthly savings goals by saving less for each specific goal. However, this implies that he will fall short of his saving targets. He could extend the time it will take him to accomplish them if this is feasible. For example, he could save over 5 years for his children's college tuition instead of 4. However, this might result in delays in educating his children. Instead, he can closely examine his expenses to find places to cut down in order to free up more of his income for saving. We will focus on this exercise. In this section, we will try to look at how you can divide up your budget and find areas where you can cut down on your expenses, allowing you to save more and be better able to meet your financial goals. From the previous section, you already know how much money you spend and how much you have left over. The next step is to think about how to divide your budget. You must decide how specific or general to make each category. Keep it simple. The two basic ways to divide your budget are into spending and saving. Take a look at the following example: spending and savings. In the spending category, we have spending on necessities such as rent, utilities, food and household expenses, as well as debt repayment back home. In the savings group, you can put the saved amount that can be used to attain short-term, medium-term or long-term goals. For emergencies, you can protect yourself against the negative impact of unexpected events by creating an emergency fund that is part of your budget. If your cash flow plan is a good picture of your current income and expenditures, you should be able to identify ways to reduce spending and increase saving. The whole point of budgeting is to increase your savings and decrease unnecessary spending. When you divide your money across the two groups, think about your goals. If you don't have enough money to pay for daily needs, debt repayment and saving, you know that you will need to make changes in the budget. If you have to make changes in the budget, you might have to increase the time needed to achieve your goals. For example, give yourself 18 months instead of 12 months to save for certain goals. But be sure that you are realistic in these budget changes. For example, Ramesh could talk with his wife about the type of monthly expenses his household in Nepal was spending and convince them to cut their expenses by 100 riyals. Ramesh can also do the same on this side by cutting his calling time by 50 riyals. In this manner, he is able to save 150 riyals more each month, raising his monthly savings to a total of 350 riyals. Though short of his target of 400 riyals, this is still an improvement over his previous monthly savings of 200 riyals, and which implies he could save an additional 1800 Qatari riyals per year. As mentioned earlier, it is very important to plan and budget, but remember that with time, situations change, which may lead you to change your budget. For example, if your income goes up, then you can save more money. On the other hand, if your income goes down, you might be forced to save less in order to pay for basic needs such as food and debt repayment. Another example of unexpected events is the birth of a child. If you have another child, you may decide to save more for education, but at the same time, your expenses will go up. Pay attention to your budget regularly so that you are prepared to change it in response to your new situation. Budgets might also fail sometimes. You might have to spend more because of a serious emergency, such as a natural disaster back home or a sudden illness in your family. A budget might also fail due to not being able to follow a savings plan. We will explain this point later on. Another reason a budget might fail is that the goals are unrealistic. An example of an unrealistic goal would be that you want to buy a house worth 100,000 riyals and you want to buy it in 1 year, but your monthly salary is 2,000 Qatari riyals. This will make it impossible for you to achieve that goal. Now we will talk about the ways one can follow the budget they make. The most important thing needed is discipline. Making a budget is simple, but following a budget can be much harder. It takes discipline. You must respect each part of the budget, from establishing financial goals to controlling your spending to honoring your promise to save. The following guidelines will help you with the discipline you need for each part of your budget. Discipline will help you set your realistic financial goals, and it will also help you in deciding where to spend your money. Set specific short and long-term goals for your money. Set up at least one goal that you can reach quickly to prove that savings work. Review your financial goals and budgets over time. Before you set your financial goals, make sure that the goals you have in mind are realistic and achievable. As mentioned earlier, the goals should be divided into short-term and long-term goals. Set the goals based on your salary and stay disciplined. By discipline, we mean that if you have decided to save 200 riyals per month, you should do your best to save 200 riyals every month. If you cannot save 200 riyals, try to stop spending on unnecessary items. For example, if you smoke, then giving up smoking will help you save more money and also avoid health issues in the future. If a pack of cigarettes costs 2.5 Qatari riyal and is smoked daily, then ending smoking could save you around 900 riyals per year. The money is yours. The choice is yours. Think before you spend and try to spend on the things that will help you in the long run, such as educating your children or investing your money for future businesses. Buy a house or plan for your retirement instead.